Blog Talk Radio.
Everyone, and welcome to Life Beats Radio on this Friday afternoon. I'm your host, Dawn Mack, and just want to welcome everyone in as we are about to get our weekend started. Our Friday is here, and the weekend is around the corner. Praise the Lord for another great week, and I hope that you've had a good one, and I hope that you've gotten through it okay and all is well. And we are doing our show a little bit at a special day and time today because of our guest. We are so excited to have her with us, and we're going to be picking up on the line in just a moment to speak to her. But to give you a little background on who we're going to be talking with today, it's just such a treat for us to have her. I will just press that by saying that. And but our special guest, she is the wife of Grammy and Dove multi-winning recording artist Curtis Chapman. They have been married for 25 years and have 6 children, including 3 girls adopted from China. They were touched and forever transformed by the miracle of adoption, and she and Stephen Curtis began the nonprofit organization Show Hope, which was originally named Shahana's Hope after their first adopted daughter. The ministry itself is dedicated to caring for the world's forgotten and abandoned children by providing financial assistance to families wishing to adopt. Beautiful, beautiful concept. And she is the best-selling author of Choosing to See. And I must tell you, we are very proud and honored to welcome today Mary Beth Chapman. Hello, Mary Beth.
Hello, how are you? Thank you so much. Quite the introduction.
Oh, well, thank you. It is such an honor to have you with us, and really appreciate your time today. So thank you so much for being on our program.
Well, thank you so much, and thank you for being speedy enough to adjust your schedule a little bit. I never know what my children are going to throw at me, so thank you so much for being patient with me.
I can appreciate and understand that. I'm a mom of 3 myself, and my youngest is a 10th grader, but she's still, even though I've kind of, prefaced everything and said, hey, let me know kind of as far in advance as you know things, still I get the occasional 5 minutes before something's supposed to happen, the notification. So I understand these things happen. It's part of being a mom. For sure.
Yes, it is totally the thing that we have to do, just kind of adjust life.
That is so true. It is all about working on their schedule, not necessarily ours. We just kind of fit our schedule around theirs all the time. That's just the way it is. But that's the mark of being a good mom, right? Mary Beth, you and Stephen Curtis, have been married for 25 years, and I found it fascinating how you and Stephen Curtis met. Would you mind sharing with the listeners?
Oh, sure. And I think you might be reading some information off of a little bit of a dated piece of paper. And since, every year that you're married, you just kind of feel like you're earning that little bit of like a Girl Scout badge. I'm going to tell you, we're getting ready to celebrate our 29th year of marriage. And so we're heading into, looking at 30 years next year. So it's a little bit longer even than that. But Steve and I have this amazing story of meeting. My maiden name, for those listeners who don't know this story, my maiden name is Chapman, and we met at Anderson University, and we shared a mailbox because of our last names being similar, or not similar, the same. And so he thought it would be, interesting to meet somebody who has the last name of his, and we ended up meeting, and he remembers the first time he saw some of my mail thinking, wouldn't that be just amazing if I met and married this girl? So I guess that was a bit of a prophetic statement, because who knew that we met in September of that first year of my college, and 13 months later we got married, and it has been now 29 years have flown by, it seems. So that's how we met, and we just are blown away at how God kind of does those things in our life.
Most definitely. And thank you for correcting me. I think 29 years is even more awesome than 25, so I'm glad it's much longer. And congratulations on 29 years of wedded bliss, and that's exciting. Now, I have to ask you a question. When you first met him there, bumping into him in the same mailbox, did you have any idea at that time that he was going to be the one that God had handpicked for you?
No, not at all. Matter of fact, I remember my college roommate and I at the time went to a little concert that was being performed by my husband's college band at the time, as a little group called Chapman Henderson. And I remember going to that concert and really not realizing who he was. And he's from Kentucky, and I grew up in Ohio, and so you've grown up in Ohio, everybody from Kentucky were hillbilly. So I remember hearing his southern twang and watching him play that electric guitar. My dad, the 30-year retired from International Harvester, just the hardworking. Not that my husband's not hardworking, but not a non-musical, hardworking, dad, and everything about him was so different and so twangy and country. And no, I didn't think at all. I didn't know who it was, but I remember seeing the mail. I kept seeing all this mail, Steve Chapman. It was from the School of Music. And then it took me a little bit of time, and I finally figured out that person that I watched perform all the, that earlier in the year was that same person. And then we kind of slowly but surely kind of got to know each other, and then he asked me out on, what would be the official first date to, the big restaurant of Red Lobster in the city of, Anderson, the big city of Anderson, Indiana. Mm-hmm. And then from there, it was pretty quick. After we started spending, pretty much once we went out on a date, we were fond of each other, is how I'll put it. But we started spending a lot of time together, really getting to know each other and taking walks and talking. And pretty quickly, I tell my kids that the I love you came pretty quick. So, obviously we were engaged 6 months after we met, and then we, got married 6 months later. So that's the story of us.
Oh, that is so sweet, and thank you for sharing that. And I just have to ask, someone that's been married for 29 years, what would you say has been the secret to your successful marriage? Because, you guys have had quite the journey, and, you've had some things happen that, in some instances, unfortunately, some couples, it would have torn them apart. But how have you guys managed to stay strong and firm as a couple?
Yeah, obviously, talking about our relationship with the Lord has been, central in our marriage, and we all know that. And we, from a very early couple, always desired to put Christ at the center of that relationship. I remember, being so young. I was 19 when I married him, and I remember, the whole triangle aspect of, how it was he and I at the, far corners of the triangle, and if we were growing closer to God, we were growing closer to each other, and all those kind of analogies that you bring out when you're, a young couple and then a young married couple, just really wanting to honor the Lord with your relationship and with your family as it starts to grow. So obviously that is the obvious answer. I would say from there, we have had to learn to laugh a lot. Humor is a big part of my family. Is humor and practical jokes and fun, and that's how we would tell each other that we loved each other. And his family not so much, but we have had learn how to, laugh together, and we've had to learn how to cry together. Like you said, we've been through some really hard, tragic times here, and, being as honest and as open as we can with our children and walking out our faith, even when we question our faith and even when we don't know the answers, but really, walking that out in hard ways and crying together. So, honestly, it has been the...
Hello? I think we may have lost Mary Beth just for a second. It sounded like her cell phone was going in and out, so we will wait just a moment for her to call back in, and I'm sure she will be. Just amazing listening to her talk, and I have been a fan of Curtis Chapman for a number of years. Love his music. It seems like every song he puts out is just speaks to me in so many different ways. And it is amazing how he has been able to continue to perform and sing in spite of some of the tragic things that, they have endured as a couple and as a family, which when she calls back in, we will speak with her about that. She is a wonderful person. I mean, I love listening to her talk about, how they met. And if you follow them, through the years, especially with Stephen Curtis's career and how that's unfolded, and in recent years in particular, there is no doubt how strong they are and how grounded in faith they are and how their love for Christ is at the very center of everything that they do, which I think is just phenomenal. And undoubtedly, Christ is the reason why they've gotten through those tough times. And I can say, I've never lost a child, but I did lose a loved one of mine, a boyfriend of mine, of over 2 years. A little more than 2 years ago, actually. He died unexpectedly at the age of 47 due to an undiagnosed heart ailment. So, I understand firsthand what that's about. And I think she's back. Okay.
Yes, I'm
Hello?
so sorry. I'm so sorry. Hello, I'm here. I'm sorry. I got disconnected. I was trying to get back to you.
It's okay. It's perfectly fine. I was hearing a little bit of like gurgling. I could hear you fine, but I could tell the call was there was some choppiness there, but you're clear now, so this is great.
Oh, awesome.
The power of modern technology sometimes, is just
oh man, I'm telling you.
Well, I think you guys have been through so much, and you're such an inspiration to so many, especially married couples that I think every married couple goes through their share of ups and downs. I think if you're together any period of time, you're going to. It's just a given, and it's how you handle those things. And of course, I think having Christ in the center of your relationship is the key to getting through anything, whether you're single or whether you're married. I think you've got to have him at the center of who you are in order to get through it. Otherwise, I don't know how you can.
Right, absolutely.
And part of your wonderful relationship, you've had your parents, the 6 children. You've had 3 biological. You adopted 3 girls from China, and with being parents of 3 biological children, what drew you to adopt?
One of those biological children. Yeah, we are our oldest daughter Emily and I. Emily's 28 years old now, and she has actually given us our first grandbaby. So we're so excited to have little Eliza in our family. But Emily at the time was 11 years old, and she and I took a trip with Compassion International, and we went to Haiti. And it not only did it wreck my life, but it obviously wrecked her life in a great way. And she came back a different little girl, and she just began to pray, how could our family live different? What would it take for Mom and Dad to consider this? And just really amazingly mature questions for a little 11-year-old, and it just deeply infected and affected her in such a profound way that she began to leave us notes and question us and get her brothers on board and ask us, would we consider this? Would we consider, walking this story out in front of a lot of people to see who might encourage other people to do it? And, and we began to pray about it, and as God would, he gently and sometimes loudly kind of tugged us that way, and we found ourselves in China in March of 2000, adopting the first of our 3 beautiful daughters from China, Johanna.
Oh, wow. And now, was there at any point, I'm a mom of 3, so as I'm sitting here listening to you, I think as I had 3 children at one time that were all small growing up, as they were growing up, that would have been hard for me I would have had to go to God in prayer and say, okay, if this is what you want for my life kind of thing, because to already have 3 children of my own, and then the idea of adopting, in addition, I don't know that I would have been, as on board initially. Was there ever a point for you and Stephen Curtis that you kind of just really weighed it heavily and said, I don't know?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I was scared to death. Us moms and people listening and knowing, being a parent and, having, having our biological children, having the three that we had, Will Franklin, our youngest biological child, was 9 years old when we adopted Johanna. So not only were we entering the realm of adoption, we were also basically I'm so sorry. We were basically starting over, and with another set of children, and Steve and I were getting older, and maybe not as much fun. At least I didn't. How that goes. And but I was scared to death. I was really just what we were really, really prayerful, because what of this is our daughter, just being an 11-year-old little girl, and what of this of our daughter is really God speaking through her. And we really took it serious, because we didn't want it to off her face at all if it was a decision that was about, this isn't best for our family. We really weighed it out carefully. We really prayed it through. And honestly, the night before we left for China, I had gotten to a place in my walk with the Lord and my faith that I really felt like He was calling us to just take another step, and then just keep taking those steps and let's see where this leads. And it led us to this beautiful little hotel in the middle of nowhere, China, where, our daughter was placed in her arms. And in that moment, everything changed. And when they handed me Johanna, I was so thankful for that journey that God had called me on, to just really step out in faith and go, this is what I called you to. This is exactly what I did for you and in your spiritual walk. I adopted you as my own. And everything about a lot of my life all of a sudden made sense. And so, it wasn't like, oh, we're these super spiritual people who just, yes, our daughter's saying, let's go, go adopt a child. It was a very scary time. I think, Stephen was maybe more quickly on board.
I think we may have lost her again. Hello? We did. We lost her. Her call dropped again. Oh, I'm so sorry. And to just kind of continue what she was saying, wow. I mean, could you imagine having 3 biological children, and then one of your children comes to you and kind of lays that on you? She's back.
Oh, I am so sorry. I'm so sorry.
It's perfectly fine. I mean, yes, I'm here. Can you hear me okay?
Yep, I can hear you just fine.
Okay,
but anyway, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
And just what I was saying is just Stephen being at that place, I think, a little more quickly. But, us as mothers and, the people who kind of are the, nucleus at home kind of making everything happen, I was really, really scared of how it would affect, the family and the way it was and the way we were. And our children weren't, super young, and we had kind of, thought that this is what our family was going to look like. So amazingly, God, continued to just kind of knock on my heart and get that message through my thicker skull. And, like I said, it wound us up in China, and I'm so thankful that it did.
Oh, yeah. I mean, what an incredible story. I mean, anyone that has followed you guys since this initially took place, I mean, we have kind of lived through it with you to a point, because it's just been incredible to see how you've been able to make it happen and how God has worked in your lives in the midst of it. It's just been so inspiring, to tell you the truth. And how your family, your biological children, have just rallied around you guys and have accepted. I mean, it's never come across like they ever thought these little girls were from China. I mean, it's just, they are my sisters kind of thing, and that's beautiful.
Absolutely. And it's that, obviously it's still that way. And we, from the very beginning, just really talked a lot about our adoption into the kingdom and into the, family of God, and how that was going to be a direct, reflection and a mirror image of what, we were able to do. And they have been, Stephen and I have both learned so much about love and actually unselfishness, in a time of our culture where, children can, there's, I think, the generation of our sons and daughter, they're calling it the generation of me, where our children can tend to be somewhat selfish. We have seen such a giving spirit of our 3 biological children. I know for a fact that our 2 sons are going to be crazy great dads, and it's because they've had these little sisters from China and in their family, and it's just been amazing to watch. And I could have missed it. That's what I tell people. It's like I could have missed it. And it's an invitation. It's not everybody's calling, and and that's, I don't want people to say, listen to me talk and go, oh, she thinks that everybody, every Christian should do that. That's not what I'm saying. But for us, it was an invitation. If you want to know me at a deeper level, this is what I have for your family. If you want this, it's an invitation. I'm not going to be disappointed either way, but this is this invitation. And I could have missed it. And just to see how my the older kids, have been really changed and better because of it has just been, it's been such a gift.
And the thing that amazes me as you said that just now is that he used your 11-year-old daughter at the time as a vehicle through which to speak and offer that invitation. And what greater invitation than a child,
That's exactly right.
We're so thankful you didn't miss the invitation either. It's been a beautiful story that has unfolded through the years, and undoubtedly, 3 little girls from China were given a beautiful family to adopt into and become a part of, and that I'm sure is just made God's heart just swell with excitement and pride and joy, just to know that you accepted and ran with it, and didn't even though you had your fears initially, I'm sure once that child was placed in your arms the first time, they just kind of all melted away because you knew that's what you were supposed to be doing.
Yep. In a moment, it all went away.
Oh, that is awesome. Now, out of all of this, you and Stephen Curtis started the adoption organization, the nonprofit Show Hope. And if you will, yes, for listeners who may not be that familiar with it, would you mind sharing what the organization does and all about it?
Sure. Show Hope. When we returned home from China with Show Hannah, our first, I remember distinctly standing on the plane before we deplaned to go, be welcomed by, all of our family that were waiting to say hello to Shoei. I remember looking at Steve and saying, you know what, every Christian family ought to have the opportunity to do this if this is something they want to do, but it is so expensive and can be so costly. We need to figure out a way to help them. And that's really where Show Hope started. It started out of just a heart to want to assist Christian families to kind of bridge the gap and to help, orphans find a forever family and to join together with their parents. And so it started out of that. We give financial grants to people who apply and have a financial need. From there, we continue to do orphan care. We have a place called Maria's Big House of Hope in China where special needs orphans receive life-saving medical care. We've begun to see some of those children be adopted. We just celebrated 10 years. Show Hope has just celebrated 10 years, and the grants that we have given have gone over 4,000 grants, and the children that have come home to the United States represent, I think, over 55 countries now, including the U.S., and it's just been amazing to see. We do some post-adoption conferences to help give tools to families who have already adopted to kind of help better their parenting skills and just offer all kinds of, just assistance to families. We want to walk with families, and we want to just help orphans in distress, and whether that's if they've already been placed in families and families need help, whether that's in the process of becoming adopted, all of that. And then, of course, there's 150 million plus orphans in the world, and some of those children are never going to find their way to a family, so how can we create centers for medical care? So we kind of do all of that, and like I said, it's been 10 years. It's hard to believe, but all of that has come from really an 11-year-old saying, I think we have room at our table, I think was her words. We have room at our table. Why would we not do this? And so the prayers of an 11-year-old, if for people who are listening, God hears them, that's for sure.
And again, your words you spoke a moment ago just resonate within me. I'm so thankful I didn't miss the invitation. Could you imagine everything that has happened since that first adoption and you guys going to China? Look at as a result, all the things that have come about as a result of that first adoption, and really farther back to your daughter saying, we have room at our table.
Right.
It's just amazing what God has done because you've allowed him to work in yours and Stephen Curtis's life to just bring about this entire ministry, if you will, to help those children, those orphans, and that is incredible.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much.
Now, I only want to touch on this briefly because I know, having lost a loved one myself, it's very, very difficult to talk about. But I do want to find out how you and Stephen Curtis and your family are coping and continuing to deal with the loss of your daughter, Maria.
Yeah, thanks for being kind with the question. We are doing well. It's been a little over 5 years now since Maria went home to be with the Lord. And, that was, obviously with any mother or father who has lost that's listening, obviously the darkest time that we've ever walked through as a married couple, that we've ever walked through. Parenting, it took us to the core of our faith and foundation. But I have to say that, 5 years out, while I would give anything to have not had this happen and for Maria to be her loud, laughing self that she was when she was with us, how much I wish that she was here. I have to say that we have really experienced the goodness that Christ talks about in the land of the living, and we've seen that in so many ways in our family. And it's really not my pat answer. There are days that it's just so hard still, and days that it'll just hit me out of nowhere, and it'll just cause me that there's that deep agonizing grief that feels suffocating. And particularly, people know the story that it involved our youngest son, Will Franklin, and honestly, that's probably been the harder journey, is just really watching him and watching how he has healed from it. It's awesome in that he has really allowed the Lord to heal him and keep healing him, and has continued to heal him. It is, as anyone can imagine, a hard journey, and one that I wish I didn't have to watch my son be on. But again, in that healing way that God so gently does and so amazingly does, Will Franklin got married last December and brought this beautiful bride to him. Her name's Jillian, and she's just an amazing woman that God, I just wish we could kind of see what was going on in, her little life as she was growing up, how God was knitting her together to be the perfect woman that he would have for Will to walk this journey out in this life. And like I said, we are a family that laughs together. We're a family that cries together. We kind of scream it all out. We kind of work it all out. And all of my children live here locally with us in near Nashville or Franklin, Tennessee area. And so we're all together a lot. And we fiercely fight for each other and protect each other and pray for each other. And he's doing as well as he can. And he's just an amazingly strong young man. Our younger daughters, who are getting ready to pick up from school as I speak to you, are doing well, and obviously, have continued with, their journey of grief and their story of loss. They miss her terribly, but it's been I tell people all the time, it's been a long walk out. It's like I was in such a dark forest for the longest time, and I couldn't find my way out. And I was like, Lord, how long am I going to have to meander around this dark forest where I can't even see my hand in front of my face? And then once that healing starts to begin and you really start to see how good the Lord is, then it's almost a scary place to walk out of, because it's like it's all I've ever known. That dark grief of my life is all I've ever known for so long, that now you start to see this goodness and taste some of the laughter again, and see the kids starting to do well again. But that's scary. It's like, wait, does that mean I'm walking away from Maria? And like I tell many people, it's like I had to kind of come to the conclusion that it's not that I'm walking away from Maria, it's that we are living and we're walking toward Maria. And as every day goes on, it's not that, it's that one day without her, it's one day closer to her. And so that's really what we've had to choose to see, pardon the pun, which is the reason I wrote the book. But that's, that's really what we did have to choose to walk in that way.
and it's so beautifully said. I lost a boyfriend that I had dated for over 2 years. Actually, we were planning to get married a little over 2 years ago. He died unexpectedly at the age of 47.
Sorry.
Well, thank you. But I understand to a point. I've never lost a child, but I do understand that in that moment of just sheer unexpected, God, you hit me out of nowhere with this kind of, tragedy. And you really do have to learn to cling to God. And I love the way you phrase that, because it really does become less about walking away from and walking towards, because they are ultimately where we want to be and are headed towards. I mean, every day we're on this journey, we are working towards the ultimate prize of life. Right. And to know that they've arrived and they're there just waiting, it does kind of soften the blow. I don't think it ever fully goes away, but it is part of the healing process. And I it's funny how your perspective changes when you have something this close to you happen. It really does change your perspective about a lot of things, and how you look at it on the backside of it really is key, I think, to getting through it and trying to heal from it as best you can. So
I think we just, we didn't have a choice. It was just like, I'm so grateful that, we are a family of faith, and we do have hope, and we know where we're going, and we know what journey we're on, and we know where this is going to end, and, we win. And, in the end of all of this and all of the, struggle. And in the meantime, how can we point others, not doing it perfectly. By no means have we lived this out perfectly. Boy, people that live closest to us and the people that have walked this journey with us can attest to that. But the one thing we have held on to with everything that, we've had is our faith and our hope in the one who is holding Maria and knows that, we're on that journey toward her. So I'm sorry for your loss. It's a new normal that you have to learn to walk when you have to walk that journey.
Thank you, and you're so correct. I mean, it is a new normal, because life is never the same again, and a piece, your whole life is uprooted and changed, and you have to learn to kind of move forward the best way you know how, with that change in place. And so, but it's, my faith in God is stronger now than it's ever been, and I know that He loves me, and there are no mistakes. So, and that's the beautiful thing about it, and that's probably been the biggest thing that I've clung to throughout it. So God bless you and Stephen Curtis and your family, Mary Beth. I mean, you guys are such a strong family. Your faith in God is unbelievable, and without it, I don't think you could have gotten this far. And you're a shining example of God's love and an inspiration to so many. We just thank you so much. I want to thank you for being our guest today and just sharing your story and being here. It's been a real pleasure.
Well, I really appreciate it. I appreciate you being flexible with my phone. My phone call dropped in my time change. I really, really appreciate it, and appreciate the time that you've taken to talk to me.
Oh, likewise, and not a problem at all. And thank you. Love to have you back anytime, and God bless you and your family, and give our best to Stephen Curtis and your children.
Well, he's got a new record coming out in a couple weeks, so everybody can pick that up. It's again an ongoing testament to his journey, and it's an amazing new project. Of course, I would say that because I'm married to him, and I have to spend the next 30 years with him. But I'm a pretty tough critic, and it's really a good project. So hopefully, it's called Glorious Unfolding, and so it's just that continuing story of us.
I have no doubt it's going to be a great album. As a matter of fact, I'll share this with you real quick. When I first started listening to contemporary Christian music, which was long about 2006, 2007, Stephen Curtis Chapman was my very first artist that I listened to and fell in love with in terms of his music. And every song since has just touched my heart in so many ways for many different reasons. And I always look forward to new music coming out, and I always buy it because he's just one of my favorites and always will be. So much continued success to him. He's a phenomenal artist. So.
Well, thank you so much for saying that, and I can attest to his goodness. He is a very, very great person. He's one of my favorite people, which is why I'm married to him. I just love him.
Oh. Well, again, thank you so very much for
all right.
your time.
You all have a good day
with us today. Thank you. You too.
Take
care.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Oh, Mary Beth Chapman, everyone. The wife of Stephen Curtis Chapman. Is she not just a delight? I absolutely love speaking with her. And, of course, cell phones sometimes don't want to cooperate, but that's okay. We were able to get the interview in the time we were allotted, and we're so thankful to her, but especially to God Almighty for giving us this time with her today. She is an incredibly busy woman, as you can imagine, running the charity that she and Stephen Curtis, started, Show Hope, trying to keep, order between children that she has, and now her grandparents, and they are just really busy doing a lot of incredible things, and we just want to continue to pray for them in their loss of their child, Maria, and just continue to hold them in your thoughts and prayers as time goes on, because no matter how much time and distance there is between when it happened and now, they still need our prayers, and they've got a lot of support. So God bless them for all that they're doing and have done, especially for the lives of those orphaned children from China who need, our love and support as well. All right, folks, that is actually going to wrap our show for today, and but we are going to be right back here tomorrow afternoon at 4 p.m. Eastern. We are going to be here with Betsy Thompson. She's a best-selling author, and she's actually going to be returning to our program, and we will be talking about her book, What Happens If I? And if you've not read it, I encourage you to pick it up. It's a quick read, and it has a lot of answers to these everyday questions that we have. And she really has a really unique perspective on those questions. So we will be chatting with her tomorrow at 4 p.m. Eastern right here on our show. And so for now, that is going to wrap our show, and we want to thank everyone for being with us today, and all the new listeners out there. Thank you for stopping by and making this your first visit. We greatly appreciate it. And a special thanks to Mary Beth Chapman. So with that, take care all. Enjoy your Friday evening and have a wonderful weekend. And we'll see you right back here tomorrow afternoon, 4 p.m. Eastern. Take care all. God bless and good night.